Happy New Year. It's time to do that end of the year, beginning of the year video thing. Starting with the tour of the shop. Normally I do the popular thing, the tour type of thing, towards the end so people would actually watch the video, but people will skip if they're going to skip anyway, so I'll just do it at the beginning. I have spent an inordinate amount of December out here in my shop, cleaning, reorganizing. Some of you saw a bit of that in the culling of the scrap. And I've pretty much finally gotten this place decent and organized. It will not last, of course, because of the entropy of chaos, but hopefully I've made it a little more lasting. So to start the tour, we have kind of the workbench area. I got a pair of very large tool chests, which are lovely and have all of my various tools in them, as you would expect. Glue, files, bits, screw bin, safety equipment up there. Parts bins. For a while there, this was pretty much the only parts bins I had, and it was small parts bins, and it was thoroughly inadequate. All the motors were tossed into one. It's mostly batteries on this side now, dummy batteries, IMRs and truss fires, AA's, small batteries for like laser pointers and that sort of thing. AA's and weird stuff. All sorts of stuff in there. Today's Monday mod tip is organize, children. Get some of these bins. Almost all of these I got at Goodwill, so they can be gotten fairly cheaply. This is the one that actually I really like. It's got all my switches are over here, motors are over here, of various sizes and models, voltmeters, Arduinos. Some of them don't have anything in them. LEDs, that sort of thing. Tools, of course. Wire, my mint inbox Maverick. Up here, we have lots of small bins, which have things like my miscellaneous electronics, my hot glue, solder, jacks for plugging in things, leatherworking tools, battery adapters, pumps, wires, empty bins for future use. My chronograph is up there. Same going all the way around here. This is mostly materials, springs, K26 springs, regular Nerf springs, random springs, screws, rivets, bolts, nails, plastic bits, all that sort of stuff. My hammers, more various materials, brass, foam, craft foam, my shop laptop that controls the streaming. When I do that, the streaming camera's up there. Somebody recommended that I get a 360 camera, and I actually like that. That we could then put in the middle of the shop. Various power tools, drill press, jigsaw, belt sander, bandsaw, bench grinder. None of these are necessary for Nerf, but gosh, they sure make it easier. Sandpaper, like I said, my hammer collection, a couple of power tools. More power tools are down there in the lower tool chest. This is all then 3D printed parts that I still need to sort through, kits that I need to install, flywheel cages, flywheels. This is the result of the culling of the scrap, and this is what makes me really happy. I went through all of those blasters and all of those bins and pulled out all of the useful parts. Barrels, barrel attachments, stock attachment points, triggers, other random bits, things that I am actually likely to use at some point, priming handles, things to use as priming handles. I think I actually have handles. So yeah, organized, definitely useful. Down there, they're larger, long-term storage stuff. Large pieces of plastic. That one's fairly random. The one on this side is more spray paint. Down there is mostly metal. Current projects that I've been working on and never seem to actually finish. But that's where they've ended up. What do we got? Way up top we've got even more material, Velcro, screws, longer storage. Oh, and we now have my Maverick collection. I have managed to assemble one of every type of Maverick because Mavericks are classic. And one unique one. Somebody sent me this one. It's a clear one that's been dyed. Finally got the whiteout one for Christmas. The curator pointed out that my Gear Up one is modified. Somebody at some point, I found this in Goodwill, and they had swapped out the priming handle. So I do not have a full Gear Up Maverick, which is, life will go on. Oh, how about more drawers of stuff. These are all also materials and projects. Everything on this side is pretty much all for Jomo's builds, and that one are also parts, 3D printed parts, cylinders, air tanks, all sorts of larger parts that wouldn't fit in the smaller drawers. Over to here, this used to be much less organized. This was the area of my shop that was perpetual chaos, and I didn't like it. My friend John had all of his stuff, pretty much all of his gear was in here. Now it's just a couple of his current projects. Pretty much all that is stored here. But I have all of my attachments for ire are in this bin. These are all different kinds of ammo, rockets, Vulcan belts, that sort of thing. More ammo, more random ammo types, all sorted into bins. And then stuff that's not Nerf related, medieval stuff and materials for all of that. My trunks, this is pretty much all stuff from my medieval recreation stuff, suits of armor and camping gear and my French horn. Nerf stuff that are still in boxes that I haven't gotten around to unboxing because I haven't used them. Some will end up in K26 episodes, some will get used in projects, some will get used in commissions. Oh, one of my shields. Nerf Melee, my fencing mask, other blasters. That was a blaster I need to get shipped back to the owner. In progress, finally found a place to put my fan mail. That was lovely. The shelves over here used to contain big totes of shells. There were 3 totes that size that were full of Nerf shells. They have all been gotten rid of or taken back to the curators. This middle one is now all of my miscellaneous tack gear, extra vests, my body armor, my actual Kevlar, all that sort of thing. The one below is all of my high-capacity magazines, anything higher than a 6-round magazine's down there, drums, everything like that. And then now I finally have a shelf for my spray paint, which is nice, and my stencils, which is something that I was sorely needing. In the corner we have my dishing stump and more random things. This is my painting table. Usually it's currently got my vest on it because I didn't have anywhere else to put it while I was working on the minigun. I did finally get around to adding the collar. A couple of people noticed the added collar protection, and most people did successfully point out or suspect that it was inspired by Army of Two, which is correct. I've never played it, but I've seen the pictures and it looked cool, so I decided I wanted extra heavy-looking armor for the minigun build, and I think it came out nice. So that wasn't too hard to make. My dart catcher, and then bins and bins and bins of Nerf. Some of it has purpose, some of it does not. Some of it I'll be using in K26 episodes, some of it has already been used. Some I've got earmarked for projects, some I really don't at this point. Only have the 2 totes of shells left that I do kind of have uses for. It all is much more organized than it was. So I got rid of a lot of Nerf during Christmas. I actually gave some to friends. I also discovered that I have young cousins, 3 young cousins that are all into Nerf. So I sent them a huge box of Nerf, and pretty much everything I've got left is stuff that I have plans for or that I plan to use for Etsy or commissions. More on that later. And more Mavericks, cylinders. A lot of this also does now have a purpose. It used to, and then it didn't, and now it does again, but it's all stuff. The little ones in there are all the attachments, stocks and barrels, other shells, clips, that sort of thing, and then 6-round magazines, scopes, other rail attachments, dart holders, that kind of thing, rifles. The bins down here, this bin down here isn't actually my stuff. It's another friend who's storing his stuff here because he didn't have anywhere else to put it. This is my game box. It has like my Titan ball gear and all of my cones and team indicators and all that sort of thing for running actual games at Nerf Wars. And then the 2 big totes down here are all Jomo's stuff. and we'll be discussing that. We then, of course, have the rafter storage, which is not going to show up too great because I now actually have proper lighting in my shop. That's also new. But there's lots and lots of blasters in my rafters. Again, they either have purposes or may have purposes. Some of this is not technically mine. It's part of my crew's arsenal for when we do HVZ. They pretty much store all their stuff with me until the next big game comes, and then I dole it all out. But I like how it's nicely organized. In a recent Goodwill video, I opted not to buy a Vulcan, and an inordinate number of people were like, "Oh my god, you didn't buy the Vulcan!" Well, there was a reason for that. I have a dozen of them, and I didn't need another one. So, if I don't buy something in a Goodwill run, there's a reason. Alright, I think that pretty much covers everything except for my personal arsenal, which has now finally been reorganized, and I really like how it came out. There used to be shelves in this corner, and I got rid of it in favor of the pegboard. So, we've got the bows way up top, and then ire and war primary type stuff. My Alpha Troopers, I have both my modified one and an unmodified one because a lot of the HVZs locally don't allow modified blasters at all, so I wanted a stock Alpha Trooper for that. My Recon and my Retalicon and my Bullpup Retaliator back there. Little bin to hold darts and stuff. Drain blasters, weird stuff, sledge fires looking things, the sling fires and the sentinel down there. The bazooka is now all the way in the bottom because it took up a lot of space, so it ended up on the bottom. And then over here is more generic stuff, all my pump action shotgun stuff, my demolishers, rocket launcher type stuff, the bazooka, shoulder weapons, barrel attachments, and Hildir up there in her place of honor, and a Nerf sign. Radiation suit in the corner, all my long melee weapons. Shorter melee weapons are over here. Lightsabers in my Boba Fett thing that my little sister gave me because she's cool. I think that about covers it. The minigun's sitting here on the table because it needs some work. I have a couple of ideas for some modifications I want to make. Then I have a couple of outstanding things here on the table. We have this collection that was sent to me by somebody that for K26, and they've all been tested, and I need to get them back. I know there's a few more, and I'm pretty sure he's emailed me the list at least once, but if you know who you are, email me again to remind me if there's anything else that I still need to send back, or things that I haven't even tested yet. Somebody mailed me a Strife to repair, and I have done so, but I haven't the foggiest idea who they were anymore, and I'm sure about 20 of you will claim it was you, and if it isn't actually you and you claim it, well, that's just not right. This was a Fearless Fire somebody asked me to paint, and I think the paint job came out lovely. And this was actually the winner of my 25,000 subscribers competition, and I still haven't gotten it to him, but I finally got it painted. At first, the paint job came out horrible, and I did not like it, but I was able to clean it up enough that I think I can send it to him, and he can finish up the more detailed paint job himself, which will be fabulous. So, and then last but not least in the tour, we have a Demolisher rocket that was eaten by alley rats, which is why they have now become public enemy number 1. They've reached the top of my murder list. We will see what happens when spring comes and they come back out of their hidey holes. They ate my Skittles and now they've eaten my rockets. This means war. Alright, I'm pretty sure that covers the tour in here. There were other organizations, but it happened like up in the attic, and it's not really nearly as interesting, but I don't know if you can see. No, you can't. But, alright, now for the blathering that most of you are probably going to skip. Alright, for those of you who are actually still watching, which I can't imagine why you would be, you guys are awesome. That is my takeaway from 2017, that my fans, my subscribers, all of my friends are absolutely awesome. I would not have continued doing this if it weren't for you guys, and I wouldn't be having nearly so much fun with it if it weren't for you guys. So know that you are awesome, and I hope you will continue to be awesome, and I will continue to try to live up to your expectations in 2018. I have made a lot of friends this year, which has been awesome because I never had a lot of friends growing up, and it's really cool having actual friends who want to talk and hang out and do stuff, especially who share so many of my hobbies, which is fantastic. I've made a lot of stuff this year, or last year, really. Which was fantastic because creation has always been my form of meditation when I'm feeling low or worn out or tired or stressed or whatever. I want to go make something. And that's why my hobbies are what they are. It's why I did Lego all my life. It's why I got into making armor. It's why I got into doing Nerf, really. Or at least Nerf modding, because it let me make things. And I really, really enjoy that. So I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of that next year. I have learned a lot. My techniques for a lot of things have improved immeasurably in the last year, and I know I have an inordinate amount still to learn, and I'm actually really, really looking forward to that. There's a whole bunch of skill sets that I want to pick up and, just things I want to try, things I want to do that I haven't had an opportunity to, but now I'm finally actually starting to get to know more people in the community who have skills that I don't, and that is fabulous. A big thing for me that happened this year was that my job actually became permanent. My real world job. I work for Dell, and previously I had been hired on as a project technician, essentially. And there was always that looming fear that any day now the project will finish and I would be without a job, which would have been bad. But it is now permanent, and I do not have to worry about that, which is a huge load of stress off of my mind. And really lets me truly settle in here, because before I didn't know if I would be able to continue to live here, if I'd need to move somewhere to get another job. And so despite having set up so much here, it was all still semi-temporary. And now it isn't. Now it is truly permanent, and I can settle in and really enjoy my life in this area, which is fantastic because I like this area. So what do I have planned for 2018? I am hoping to be a whole lot more organized. That was probably my big failing last year, was the channel blew up way faster than I was expecting, and commissions were flooding in more than I was expecting, and I took on way more than I was prepared for, and could never quite get caught up, could never quite get organized, and I'm hoping to actually finally alleviate that, because I'm generally a very organized person, and I just couldn't ever quite get my feet under me. And this last month, I finally feel that I have, with the reorganization and all of that, and I only have a handful of little projects that I need to finish up before I'll have a complete clean slate and can start taking things on again. So that will be a big part. Another thing I was terrible at was keeping track, as we noted earlier with the things where I don't know where they're supposed to go back to. Done a terrible job at keeping track of who sent me what and where it needed to go back to, and that's another thing that will be alleviated in the future, while I'll be taking much better notes and keeping track of all of that sort of thing. And now I actually have the shop organized to a point where I think that'll be possible. I am going to be spreading out my regular series. So I've got the Monday Mod Tips, the K26, and the Fan Mail Fridays, which I originally started doing so that I would continue to produce content, because if I didn't have that feeling of a deadline of I need to have a video for K26 this week, I probably wouldn't have had nearly as much of a regular uploading schedule as I have had, and that would have been not as good. But at this point, I think it's actually taking up more of my time than I'd like, and I'm not doing the really interesting stuff that I know you guys want to see. I mean, K26 is popular and funny and all of that, but it's clearly not as popular because it doesn't get very many views, really. Same with the fan mail. There's basically apparently a core of dedicated fans who watch it every week and ask for questions. But I think I could be doing more interesting things that you people would more enjoy, more interesting builds and things like that. So I'm going to be probably K26 will at least become every other week, partly because I'm starting to run out of blasters. Doing 4 at a time early on really went through them in a hurry, which is why I've been doing 2 at a time mostly lately. So we'll be doing those less often, and doing ones that are more in question. So ones that I absolutely know aren't, I probably won't bother to do anymore, because what's the point? Whereas ones where it might actually be able to are the ones that I'm going to try to focus on. And then the alternate weeks, the weeks that I don't do K26, one of those weeks will be a build for Jomo, my patron, because I want to do one build for him every month. And the other one will be another build. It'll either be a build that I did for myself, or it will be a commission that I am showing off. Because I do plan to start taking commissions finally. Don't start emailing me yet. Give me a little bit longer. I'm also going to split the fan mail videos, because an awful lot of the fan mail I've been getting lately has been Lego related and not Nerf related. So Fan Mail Friday will be and the Nerf Fan Mail Friday and Q&A will be every other week. Probably the same week as I have, or the opposite week as when I have K26. And then I will also then do a Lego story time with Captain and fan mail video on my Lego channel the alternating weeks. And then something will fill in that gap. It'll either be a Lego by the book for the Lego channel, or another build for a smaller build probably for the Nerf channel. So there should be a lot more interesting content, I'm hoping, rather than that kind of cookie cutter stuff that I kind of fell into towards the end of last year, which just I wasn't having as much fun, and you guys definitely weren't having as much fun. So that Monday mod tips will actually probably stay unchanged, because there's still going to be little short things, and since I will be doing a lot more builds, I'm hoping, I will have a lot more opportunity to do a quick little 5-minute video or less on, hey, here's how I did this technique, here's how you remove a stripped out screw, here's how you can fix a stripped out screw hole, here's where, how you do this and that. The most commonly requested has been integrations. People seem to think I could do a one video on integrations. Integrations are an incredibly complicated concept, and that will probably, I could probably do just Monday mod tips for the rest of this year just on integrations, and have a new tip every single week on how to do integrations, when to use Bondo, when to use epoxy, when to use E6000, when to use super glue, when to use when I use screws, when to use shims, how to cut, how to sand, how to, it's hundreds and dozens and dozens of techniques and steps and tricks that go into the really complicated integrations that you see of melding two shells so it doesn't look like they were ever two shells. And I do plan to probably start that series of mod tips, because I plan to be doing some integrations, both for me, for my patron, probably for commissions. So hopefully I will get the chance to do lots of little mod tips during that. Like I said, there will be a monthly patron build, there will be a monthly personal build. I'm also hoping to do a lot more collaborations, because we have just an incredibly rich mod community up here. We've got Out of Darts, we've got Walcom S7, we've got the Curator, we've got Brett, we've got John, we've got myself. We all do interesting mods, and I'm hoping to do more collaborations with some of them, crossovers, help them do a build, to get them to help me do a build, do something interesting, mirrored builds, loadouts that are designed to work together in a battlefield, so neither one of us by ourselves would be so great, but the two of us together, or the three of us together, would be a very powerful loadout, that sort of thing. Interesting stuff that make the game more interesting, I think. I am also hoping to go to a lot more events this year, actually. I didn't get to nearly as many as I wanted to. And I'm hoping to finally get some really good war footage, because I now have 2 decent cameras. So I should hopefully be able to get much better footage than I had previously. The cameras I was using were garbage, cheap eBay stuff, because that's what I could afford at the time. And I've gotten some decent ones now that I'm hoping will give me some much better footage. And I'm going to ask Brett some advice on how he does his, with the little icons, with the guns and kill counters and all of that, because his footage is gorgeous, and I would like to be able to get similar for you guys on my channel. I'm also finally hoping to get to Afterworlds. I did not get to a single Afterworlds in 2017. I made 2 of them in 2016, and then because of scheduling conflicts, could never make it in 2017. And I really want to get back to that, because it is so much fun. But I'm hoping to go as an NPC, because I prefer to actually be part of the story. That's what I did in HVZ, and it's what I'd love to get into in Afterworlds, and help them actually run the event and make it fun, because I find that much less stressful for me when I'm not worried about my character dying because I'm either supposed to die or can't die or what have you. And I'd find that much more enjoyable myself. And I always like telling stories, so I'd like to be part of that story. So we'll see how that goes. I also do plan to host mod parties again. I don't know how often, but they will happen. I will probably look into a 360 camera that we could either hang from the ceiling or suspend in the middle of the room so you guys can look around at all the different people and see what they're doing. Because the one camera in the corner, I don't think is really giving you a good feel of what's actually going on in here. I could get 2 cameras and, or 4 cameras, who knows, and have them spaced around the room or alternate between them, or we'll see. 360 camera would probably be the easiest. We'll see how that goes. I am also going to start hosting, hopefully, if we can get the venue that we're looking at, a youth Nerf war locally. I used to run one in Lewiston every week. I'd bring out totes and totes of blasters, and 30 or 40 local kids would show up, and we'd have a big Nerf war. We did a lot of HVZ, we did a lot of Capture the Flag and Titan Ball and all of the games that we love on this huge wooden castle playground that they had in Lewiston. And we're hoping we've got a venue lined up locally, and I'll probably do those monthly, which is a larger... I mean, that's why I have a whole bin of Mavericks and a whole bin of Strong Arms and a lot of the blasters that I'm never going to use probably for integrations, but I kept them because I knew I wanted to do a youth Nerf war, and I wanted to be able to provide blasters for kids who didn't have them. And I didn't... I needed lots and lots of cheap blasters. And we did battles where, everyone gets a Maverick. That's the only thing that's allowed on the field. Which is very leveling and makes for a very chaotic game given how often they jam and how poorly they work and all of that. It made for a very terrifying game of HVZ when you only get a Maverick and you can't reuse ammunition. The game goes real quick, which is a lot of fun. So that should be a lot of fun. I'll definitely get footage from that, both from my perspective and hopefully from some of the kids' perspective. Yeah, that should be an absolute blast. I am also going to be hopefully attending most of the adult wars that the more adult wars, the NIC level stuff, and the ones that we hold at Fort Borst, and I'll hopefully get good footage of that, because that's when we all show up, and I'll get to use all of the crazy stuff that I've built, because I obviously can't use most of my blasters in a youth Nerf war, because it wouldn't be fair, and it would probably be dangerous. But I do want the chance to actually run all of these, and come up with weird and interesting loadouts that will absolutely get wrecked, but I'll have a blast doing it. I definitely want to get all sorts of footage with the minigun. That will probably go to a war, and we'll do a Juggernaut round, and it'll be everybody versus me and out of darts probably with our proton pack type blasters, and that should be a lot of fun. And I am planning to go to at least one national invitational event, possibly 2. We will see how it works out. People keep asking me if I will go to End War, asking me to go to End War, demanding that I go to End War, offering to pay to help me go to End War. The problem is End War is 2,200 miles away from me. And there is no way I'm going to drive to End War. And I can't imagine trying to get all of my gear on a plane for End War. Out of Darts had trouble with getting his stuff to DartCon, where half of his luggage never even showed up for the event. And if I went and just tried to play as a regular player and I brought my whole big loadout so you could see me in action, I'd probably get snuck up on by a zombie and killed in the first 5 minutes. And then the whole trip would have been for naught. So unless I could actually manage to convince them to let me play as an NPC, like I always did for HVZ, either as, somehow an award that the humans get for unlocking something, they then get the lunatic with the minigun, or as a mini boss that the zombies have to fight, again, lunatic with the minigun. In those cases, it might actually be worth it for me to go, because I could probably have a whole lot of fun and actually enhance the event, as opposed to showing up with all my gear and then having to put it all in storage for the entire weekend. Because I make a lousy zombie. I've got bad knees and a bad back. I'm old and broken. I don't run well. But I make a good mini boss, just standing there with a minigun hosing everybody. So that would be possible. But I definitely will be going to West versus Zombie, which is half that distance away from me. And I was invited by the guys who were running it because they knew that I was close by, and they were hoping that I would in fact come and play as an NPC. So that is going to be a lot of fun, hopefully. It's going to be in Bozeman, Montana. I will have an entire series of videos leading up to that, because they've kind of asked me to help with the PR for that, to get people interested and make sure that they understand what's going on and all of the details and all of that. So there will be whole videos on that. Look forward to that. I think they've got I don't know if their website's actually live yet, but I know they've got a Facebook page. and that is being held in Bozeman, Montana, which is equidistant from nowhere, everywhere. It's out in the middle of nowhere, but it's a gorgeous location from what I understand, and they've got reign of pretty much the whole city, and I've been working with them for almost a year now, off and on, about their plans, how the scenarios they're going to run, how they're going to do it, and it sounds like it is going to be a lot of fun. And it's a lot closer to me. I'll actually get to visit family on the way through and back. So we'll see how that works out. The other reason that I'm less likely to go to End War is because this is the week right after End War. However, if I could somehow swing it that I go to End War and then hit this on the way back, then I might actually be able to consider going to End War. But otherwise, I wouldn't be able to really justify the additional travel expense because that is a long, long way for me to go. But we will see what happens in the next 6 months. So those events are going to be a blast. I've heard I've heard all sorts of things about End War, but mostly that it was awesome. And WVZ, we're hoping, will help spawn more events like that around the country so that more people can go to those big games. Because when there's only one of them and it's, on the other side of the country from you, it makes it hard for you to be able to attend. But if we can start the ball rolling for more of these kinds of events, then more people will be able to attend them, and perhaps they could even link them so that all the events happen at the same time and all over the country, and they're all kind of part of the same big storyline. I think that would actually be really, really cool, but we'll see where that goes. As for business type stuff, I said pretty much all last year that one of these days I'll get my Etsy page up and running, and never got around to it. Again, because I was too busy with so many other things. And I'm really, really hoping to get that going again, partly just to get rid of extra stock that I have lying around in my shop. I've got a whole bin of stuff that are good for the single-shot K26 blasters that I was selling for the most part. And one of the reasons that I haven't really had the drive was because when I first opened it, it was partly to raise capital because my channel wasn't making any money yet because it just started. And I just moved here and that was expensive. So if I wanted enough, spending cash to be able to do Goodwill runs or to be able to buy parts for the builds I wanted to do, I needed to get somewhere. And so that was what the Etsy shop was kind of doing and what commissions were helping with. And then once my channel actually started generating revenue, it was less drive. And I regret that because I really enjoyed doing commissions and loved doing the Etsy stuff and getting my blasters out there and getting people more interested in modding and helping with all of that. So I'm definitely hoping to get both of those going again. Getting simple blasters on my Etsy shop, single-shot blasters mostly, and possibly paint jobs and K26 or whatever else they want. And I am definitely hoping to get commissions going again. But they are still going to have to be rare because time is a major thing. That was the other thing. When my job was still early, when I first moved here, the project hadn't even started yet. And so I had nothing to do but do stuff for Etsy and my channel all day. And now the job is mine permanently, and it is a full-time job. So I have a lot less time now than I did before. So we're probably looking at maybe 1 or possibly 2 commissions a month. So they're going to be few and far between, and you're not all going to be able to get one. And I apologize for that, but that is unfortunately reality. Not sure how I'm going to go about choosing who I do. Probably just going to pick the ones that I actually want to do, or the ones that are interesting, or the ones that I would enjoy doing. But feel free to contact me, and I will try to respond to, like, either, sorry, booked this month, try again next month, or just, no, I'm not interested in this one. Who knows? Another thing that people have asked a number of times is if I'll ever get a Patreon going. And I actually considered it very early on because, again, I needed the revenue. And then when I didn't, I never really decided to publish it, partly because I honestly wasn't sure I was going to be able to produce enough content for it to be worth it for people. And the fact that I've uploaded like 250 videos in a year would suggest that I might in fact be able to keep the content going. And so I might. If you guys think that's something I should do, let me know. Alternatively, like I said in the minigun video, if you really want a way to support me, send me rival rounds. I obviously will be buying full loadout for both the HVZ and Nerf Wars myself, so I'm not just begging you to send me stuff because I can't afford it. I will buy a full loadout myself, but I'm going to use a lot of them, I'm going to lose a lot of them, and if you really wanted to be involved and participate and be able to say that you sent Captain Xavier something, I would love more ammunition. And it's just an easy thing. It also helps out of darts. Because that's who I recommend getting it through. He's nearby me. He sells them through his Etsy shop. He has both the Litake, the cheaper stuff, and the headshot ammo. I'll take either. I'm not going to be too picky. I prefer the headshot because it comes in both orange and green, and it's better quality in general. But buying it through him, he gets a little of that, and you get to help him out, you get to help me out, and you may even get shot by ammo you bought someday. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Anyway, so yeah, that is an option. And then, the other way that you can support me if you want to show me how much you really like my channel and all of that, send me a letter. I really do like getting physical letters. I've got a whole bin of them, and they're my favorite thing to get in fan mail is actual fan mail of just a handwritten letter of someone saying, "You're awesome, thanks, I did this, I built these things because I saw your channel and you helped me with this," and that's the stuff that really makes me feel like I'm actually doing something worthwhile with all of my time. And that's also the only way that you're going to get a shout-out. That is a rule that I decided to come up with. I have no idea why. If you want a shout-out for your channel or just for yourself, you have to ask me in an actual physical letter. It's 49 cents to mail a letter, so at least I think it is. That's what it's going to cost for me to mention your channel, put a link to your channel, all of that. You got to send me a real letter, just to make me feel special. You can also help by, of course, subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, all of that. It does help the channel grow. I don't generally flog that on every one of my videos, but it really does matter. I have not had any desire to make this a full-time thing. I want to keep this a hobby because I have a real job, and I like having my real job, and I really do enjoy that job. But if I want to be able to do more wild and crazy interesting things and travel, the channel is going to need to grow so that it can start generating enough revenue for me to be able to fly places or drive places or whatnot. So if you want me to be able to do that, that is something that, the channel has to grow before I can afford to do that sort of thing. I would absolutely love to. Oddly enough, commenting is apparently more important to a channel than I'd realized. So you can always comment, say, "I liked it," or "I didn't like it." That is, in fact, perfectly fine. I do have 4 requests concerning commenting. First, before you comment on one of my videos, watch the whole video. Because quite often, questions that come up early on get answered later. And it's just kind of a pet peeve of mine to get asked a question on a video that I answer the question in the video. So definitely watch the video first. Second, always read the description of the video. It's right below the video. You usually have to hit show more or whatever, and it'll show you the description. That is where my mailing address is. That's all the information on the music that's in the video is in there. And if I make a mistake and somebody points it out, I'll put the correction in the description because I don't want to take down the whole video, re-edit it, and put it back up again. So I put the corrections in the video. So if I accidentally call a long strike a long shot and 20 people in the first 5 seconds go, "You got the name wrong!" I will put it in the description. And then hopefully people will not continue to point that out 6 months later on old videos, and it's just kind of a peeve. So read the description. Read the current comments, because if you have a question, there's a good chance somebody else had the question, and they asked it down in the comments, and I answered it down in the comments. And so not having to answer the same question over and over and over and over again is definitely helpful for me as far as not having my time wasted. So those are just general commenting etiquette. Everybody should follow those rules when you comment on anything, anywhere, ever. And the last one is the most important, of course. Don't be a troll. Nobody likes trolls. Nobody wants trolls. And more importantly, I do not feed nor tolerate trolls. It's a grand total of 2 mouse clicks for me to revoke your commenting privileges, and I'll never see another comment you post on my channel ever again. So it's not a hard, arduous process for me to just revoke you. So if you're just going to say something to be a jerk, if you're going to insult the little kids that are in my youth war videos, if you're going to use foul language, if you're just going to be mean or bully other people, I am just going to block you. I don't even give second chances. It's just, no, you're gone, you're done. Because you should know better. I mean, honestly. So yeah, that's my rules on commenting on my videos. Now you know. So, I am excited. I am absolutely stoked for 2018. There are some fun blasters coming out that I'm looking forward to. There are some fun people that I'm looking forward to collaborating with, and fun events that I'm hoping to be involved in and run, and it's going to be awesome. I have plans for some pretty cool builds. The minigun is, of course, obviously going to be really hard to top, and it's going to be a while before I build anything that's quite that amazing again. That was a 1.5 year long build, off and on, waiting for parts, waiting for inspiration, waiting for funds, whatever. But I do have some plans for some interesting builds that I'm hoping will be kind of unique or one of a kind, or just my takes on things that were done 1,000 times. But it should be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping you guys will continue to watch me and my lunacy. I'm hoping to I will probably get sillier and sillier as things go on, because as some of you may have noticed, I'm actually a very silly person. You see me in all of my full gear and you'd think, he's a man taking this seriously, and no, I do not take this seriously. I'm a 34-year-old man running around with a Nerf gun. There's nothing serious about that, and I fully embrace that. But I like telling stories, and getting into character and putting on a show for people is something I really enjoy, which is why I go into all of the madness and all of the armor and all of that. It really is just a character that I play for events, because I enjoy it. I don't do that when I go to Nerf Wars anymore. I'm not Captain Xavier at Nerf Wars. I'm Chaylo. I've got my warload out. I have fun. So, yeah, that's me. I think I have thoroughly rambled more than enough, and I'm going to go edit this and get it uploaded, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, or skipped it, or what have you. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know what kind of stuff if I didn't mention something that you desperately want me to do. Again, comments. I get most of my best ideas from you guys in the comments. That is why I read my comments. Despite the pet peeves, despite the trolling, despite all of that, I still read every single comment I get, because there is so much knowledge and cool ideas and stuff that comes in from there. And that's you guys. Once again, you are the thing that is driving my channel, because you guys make it fun, you guys keep it interesting, you guys give me things to do, and the reason that I do them. So, again, Happy New Year, and thank you for watching.